Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Last night, if anyone was watching, I did a video about Tommy Sheppard. He lost the rag. He went out of his brain with anger. And the reason was that they lost a vote in Parliament. There was a motion put forward that would allow an amendment to the Scotland Act that would allow Scotland, the Holyrood, the ability to call a referendum on independence without needing the permission of Westminster. And there was this debate and nobody seriously expected it to pass. And so, of course, it didn't. Nobody was there. There was very few people there. But, I mentioned this in the video I did last night, a little sort of flash video, but with a sort of headline that I'm doing the story here, that he was so angry with the two Labour MSPs. He felt that they were being very disingenuous, that they were removing rights from Scotland by voting against this amendment, by voting against this change in the law. And his anger, of course, was very much misplaced because Stephen Flynn and Mary Black were both absent from the vote. His own leader and deputy leader of the Westminster group couldn't even be bothered not to turn up for the vote, but even the discussion, even to discuss it in Parliament. Let's have a look. Now, I do take great delight in seeing Tommy Sheppard get angry. It is a truly marvellous thing. And he is a man who, I must say, has improved by getting grey hair. When you look at pictures of him when he's younger with that black mane and that, those eyebrows sort of merge into the black hair and he don't half look a bit weird. He looks like a sort of a 1960s Soviet Politburo member, which is, of course, is very close to his politics, I suppose. But he got into this sort of spittle-flecked anger, raging about two Labour MPs who he felt were treasonous because they refused to give Scotland even more rights, even though his own party couldn't even be asked to turn up. What a hypocritical twonk he truly is. Anyway, we'll look at this story. I found it immensely funny, and I hope you do too. And I hope it's worthy of you hitting that subscribe button, because that massively, massively helps the channel to get stories like this out. The more amusing ones, as well as the more important ones. This isn't an important story, but it ain't half a funny one. Tommy Sheppard rages at Scottish Labour for voting against Skexit Bill, despite Stephen Flynn and Mary Black no-show. His own leader and deputy leader could not be bothered to even turn up for this amendment. So what hope did it ever have of going through? No, none at all. It never stood a chance. It was one of those, let's just throw it up because we've got to look as though we're doing something. We're so appallingly useless at everything we do. We've got to convince our members that we're still continually fighting for independence. I think you'd be better off showing your members that you're still continually fighting to improve their lives, to help the NHS and transport and education and social care and drug deaths and every other policy that you're failing on. But no, only independence. First, last, always. And failure after failure. And that's really why he was angry. Because yet again, his sad life filled with failure has another failure. A man destined to never achieve anything. Except, maybe winning the world eyebrow competition. It's wrong to pick on anyone for things they can do nothing about, I grant you. But man, you can pluck them. Anyway, Neil Hanvey attempted to introduce a new law. Neil Hanvey, he's Alaba now, isn't he? Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, he used to be SNP, that's right. Anyway, Neil Hanvey attempted to introduce a new law which would amend the Scotland Act and give Holyrood the power to legislate for a second independence referendum. But he suffered a humiliating defeat. And of course, he knew it. Neil Hanvey was doing this because, he knew when he was doing it, he would fail. He knew it. Hanvey had no illusions. But it was one of those, got to show we're doing something, got to do something. Anyway, the Alaba Party suffered a humiliating House of Commons defeat after its flagship Skexit Bill was voted down in an absolute landslide. This is despite it being supported by a number of SNP MPs. As I say, they've got to be made to look as though they're doing something. As also, as well, from the Welsh and Irish separatist parties, Plaid Cymru and the Social Democratic and Labour Party. Not, of course, Sinn Féin, who never take their seat, which is just as well. Anyway, SNP MP Tommy Sheppard blasted Scottish Labour's 2 MPs for voting against it. Because Labour aren't going to split the union. They don't want to do it. No Labour Prime Minister will allow the union to be split. They may talk a good game, but they're not going to let it happen. Anyway, even though his leader and deputy leader, Mary Black and Stephen Flynn, were not even in the chamber for the debate, and they did not officially record a vote because they knew they weren't going to waste their time. It was a pointless exercise. It was one of these make-works. Look at me. Aren't I full of it? Yes, you certainly are. Hanvey was aiming to introduce a proposed law to transfer the power to legislate for Scottish independence to the Scottish Parliament. It is a contentious issue which the Scottish Government took the UK to court for in 2022, but suffered an embarrassing loss. One of many embarrassing losses. Indeed, every time they take the government to court, they lose, which goes to show you their position on everything is wrong. Anyway, the SNP executive cannot legally legislate for another vote. We know this. Without Westminster's permission, and permission there will not come. And Mr Hanvey wanted to introduce the Scotland Self-Determination Bill to the House of Commons for further consideration, which would amend the Scotland Act 1998 to transfer this power. And under no wet dream madness would this ever be allowed to happen. Even if it was in ever doubt, there would have been a 3-line whip. And when you consider that not only the Tories, the Conservative and Unionist Party, to give it its full name, would vote against it, so would the Labour Party. You might get 1 or 2 dissenters, but generally no. It's never going to happen, is it? However, MPs voted 228 to 48, a majority of 180, against the proposal. And nobody is surprised. Anyway, we're going to come down here. Where is it? It's here we go. SNP MP Mr Sheppard raged at the lack of support from Scottish Labour. He said, with Labour MPs like Ian Murray and Michael Shanks voting against more powers for the Scottish Parliament and Scotland's democratic right to choose their own future, it is clear voting SNP at the general election is the only way to make Scotland's voice heard and put Scotland's future in Scotland's hands. Let me tell you, Scotland's voice was heard. Scotland's Labour MPs voted against it, which is what the majority of Scotland want. So, by his own words, Scotland's voice was heard. Shove that in your pipe, Tommy, and go smoke it. But he was not happy. He was very moany. He was saying that these people were traitors, basically. There he is. Oh, bless him. Poor old Tommy Sheppard. A man who picked the wrong side in every single argument. What a shame. What a fool. Coming up. I think Tommy Sheppard needs to be looking closer to home if he's going to get truly emotional about things. It's all very fine getting angry about Labour MPs voting against you, but it looks like you may be even voted against by the people. I believe Labour are targeting your seat, Tommy. Yours is one of those that they're likely to take. That will truly get you angry at Labour. You're going to have to go and get a real job. Not going to be easy, is it? Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and let's all bid Tommy Sheppard a farewell to arms. Bye-bye.